Was wrestling always something you had watched as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Since I was knee high to a grasshopper, per se. um, my actually my grandfolks got me into it. My grandma and grandpa got me into it because they were like they were like diehard fans. They were so into the wrestling programs. They would rearrange furniture at times. It was always animated, but I've always had a deep love for the wrestling business, and it just grew as I grew. So,
Who were some of your favorites growing up to watch?
gosh, so many. I gosh, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, the Funks, Briscoes, Harley Race, uh, the Roddy Piper, Greg Valentine, and a whole host of others. Luthez, um, Buddy Rogers, from back in the day. Which I got to see more of his older matches later on, and just a lot of I would watch like different programs like Championship Wrestling in Florida, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, World Class Championship Wrestling in Texas, um, the old school WWF at the time, which is now we know WWE, and um, the different territories with the systems and would have television programming. Where I get a chance. Sometimes I would watch others that every once in a while through different special programming or like keeping up with the wrestling magazines. I was a big collector of the wrestling magazines at the time, and
Which one was your
uh,
favorite?
oh gosh, well of course Pro Wrestling Illustrated was pretty much the main thing deal, but I always liked the wrestler as well. The wrestler was really cool, and you got to see. Uh, we didn't have like the internet back then, or uh, pay-per-views or anything like PLEs like we do now. But that was our chance to keep in touch with the feuds and what's going on with the industry around the world, and keep in touch internationally too with the wrestling overseas as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, before social media, the magazines were just a great platform to educate fans about what's happening, and they talked about the hot angles and some of the stars coming up on the rise. I mean, it's really incredible. And North Carolina was such a hotbed for wrestling because Flair and all these people, uh, Harley Race, the Funks. You had mentioned those guys really cut their teeth in there, and so many other people. But getting to watch those matches on television really was appointment television.
oh, absolutely. And it's later on as I got older, getting to meet some of the greats I just mentioned, and then some. Uh, like I remember one of the first matches I saw live was Ivan Koloff and Rocky Johnson, and that was really cool. And got to see I, back then one of my favorite tag teams was Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody, which I used to name Bruiser Brody Blackbeard because I had a love for pirates back then, and he reminded me of the fable of Blackbeard. The story of Blackbeard, and uh, I remember shouting out to a match one time and calling him Blackbeard. He got a kick out of it. Actually, that was kind of cool.
That's funny.
But good times.
It's
But
great.
yeah, I was going to tell you, I got to meet Andre the Giant years ago, and first time meeting Andre, he just pulled up in a car. He had this like the sunroof, right, and his head was like above the sunroof. He was
It's
huge.
larger than life.
Oh my gosh! And I guess it wasn't long after he did the taping for the $6 million man taping Lee Majors, and which later on, like years later, when I got to meet Lee Majors, we talked about that, in meeting Andre, because Andre played the Abonic Sasquatch at the time, and well, anyway, he's coming out of the car, right, and he's walking towards me, and I swear to you, I've seen so many big guys in my lifetime, but he's still the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life, and he was coming up towards me, and for the first time in my life, then he was the first human I thought was going to eat me. Seriously, I mean, he was very intimidating. And Dusty, Dusty Rhodes came up time, and he came over and was trying to break the ice. Right? He was, hey kid, don't worry about thing. Andre's cool. Say hello, Andre, Big Daddy. And Andre puts his big hand down to where I'm at, and this is how do you do, right? And I go to shake his hand, and my hand disappears, right? Because his hand is so huge, and I'm looking at him, fine, sir. And oh my god, but he was the nicest guy, right? Nicest guy, but you would never know to look at him at first. But I was so happy he was a nice guy. But I mean, words can't describe how big. I mean, literally, he was larger than life.